The next big print will happen when something breaks in the stock market, the bond market, or something else, and the government realizes they have to do something about it or else everything will fall apart. That's on the way. The outside date on that is 18 months. That's tomorrow's date inside. About 6 months from now, or anywhere between 6 and 9 months. That's what I think will happen. Bitcoin will be stronger than the power law, will move above by 2 standard deviations, and then will pump to 300 or 350. Based on this, I think that at some point we will be back in a crisis situation. Once that is done, it will be okay for the next big print that will lower the government's debt from 7 trillion to something less than 9 trillion. The next one will take at least 20 minutes. Portfolio manager and well-known supporter of sound money Lawrence Lepard thinks that Bitcoin prices will go up a lot in the next 2 to 3 years. Lepard says we are on the very last leg of the fiat monetary system. He has been warning about the risks of the government's wasteful spending and the constant devaluation of fiat currencies like the US dollar. The system is falling apart from the inside out because people are borrowing and spending too much without thinking. Hard assets like Bitcoin are very different from the fiat system, which is easy to increase. The most popular cryptocurrency not only has a set supply, but it also has a halving event that helps keep supply under control and stops inflation and devaluation. On top of that, Bitcoin has been one of the best investments for central banks' balance sheets, especially the Federal Reserve's. When compared to these paper currencies and balance sheets, Bitcoin does better the more these banks print and devalue their own money. The most important thing is that Lepard thinks central banks are about to print a lot more money for the global economy than we saw during earlier crises, like the Great Financial Crisis and the pandemic. This means that Bitcoin will be worth more. Lepard thinks that it will be worth at least $350,000 Bitcoin when the printing starts and more than $1 million per coin as things get worse. Now we'll show you clips from Lepard's most recent chat with Stefan Lever. But first, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to get more movies like this. For the channel's growth, everything you do is very helpful for the YouTube system. Thanks and have fun with the movie. The US government reported the deficit about 3 weeks ago. The monthly deficit was $380 billion, which was more than they expected $290 billion. So it turned out to be $90 billion more than they thought. You can't just multiply 380 by 12 because it's not a smooth number, but if you did, you'd get a $4.8 trillion deficit. There's no doubt that we have a $2 trillion debt, but I think it's even bigger than that. And there has always been a small difference between what they say the deficit is and how much the debt grows. They got some things done without going through the PL or income statement because the debt could grow by $2.6 trillion if we run a $2 trillion deficit. The other 0.6 came from somewhere I don't know. That being said, the government is pretty good at messing with numbers. But yes, the point is that people in Washington, DC don't talk about or think about how to solve this problem on a large scale. I thought it said a lot that there was no talk about the deficits in the debt during the Kamala Trump discussion. And what will be done about it? The Walz-Vance debate last night was a lot like this. It wasn't talked about much then. It wasn't brought up that the US budget is in a similar state to what we've seen in poor countries in the past. No, there's no doubt about what will happen or how this will play out. In many places, this trend has been seen for hundreds of years. We've never seen it in the biggest country that has the world's most important currency. In that case, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Brazil, and even Argentina did that a few times. And Poland isn't the only country that has tried to print money to fix major budget problems. That being said, they were only small countries. They weren't the most important money in the world. Of course, the world's main currency is now following the same plan. Since you and I don't agree, things aren't going to go well. It's the only way things can end. There are other options as well, but inflation is almost certain to happen in all of them, unless we let a huge pile of debt fall apart and everything defaults like it did in 1929. Also, I think that in the end, the central bankers won't let that happen. They have a printing press and they really want to use it. They've shown us that more than once. I think they think that inflation is better than deflationary failure, which they see as the worst risk. From what I can tell, Washington DC's choice has been to act like this problem doesn't exist. That's the plan they made to handle it. That's okay. That is, the country keeps running every day. I mean, the GDP just grew pretty well. But inflation has gone down. It hasn't gone down as much as they say, but it has gone down. Unemployment was slowly going up, it hasn't exploded. I mean, the economy isn't really going anywhere. The stock market is almost at an all-time high. To someone from the outside, you would say, well, there's nothing really wrong right now, except that we have these huge deficits. Because of this, I believe DC will not act until they are literally forced to. And that's a lot like that. I remember 2006, 2007, and 2008. It would have taken a blind person not to see that there was a house bubble going on. Still, Bernanke and others were saying, no, we've never had or there's no problem here. Houses have never been turned down across the country, which was not true. That wasn't true from 1929 to 1931. The value of homes dropped 67%. So when there is a real big drop in the economy, a deflationary impulse, house prices can drop a lot, but they didn't say that at the time. And that seems to be the case here too. After thinking about it, I think that at some point we will be back to where we were before the crisis. So the next big print will be okay, and the government's balance sheet will go from 7 trillion to 7 trillion from 9 trillion. The next one will take at least 20 minutes. Lepard knows for sure that the Federal Reserve's balance sheet will more than double from where it is now when this next round of printing starts, to more than $20 trillion, which caused the prices of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to rise very quickly. Many experts in the field and people who support sound money agree with his $20 trillion number. Last year, tech investor Balaji Srinivasan made similar claims when he talked about why he thought the price of Bitcoin would reach $1 million. Srinivasan, an early Bitcoin investor and former chief technology officer at the cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, said the US dollar would be sucked into a death spiral of hyperinflation. He said the government would print trillions of dollars almost overnight to try to keep the dam from bursting, but nothing would work. Lepard has a lot of the same ideas as Balaji. Like Balaji, he thinks that breaking the dam would be very good for Bitcoin, gold, and silver. Here are some more interview clips. I've kind of looked at the cycles and the power law, and I think there's something on the next ramp that I call the big print. So the next big print will happen when something breaks, like the stock market or the bond market, and the government realizes they need to fix it right away or everything will fall apart. That's on the way. Outside information on that is 18 months. You can find out about that tomorrow. About 6 months from now, or anywhere between 6 and 9 months. I believe that when that happens, Bitcoin will use too much power. We'll move above by 2 standard deviations, and then we'll pump to 300 or 350. I think gold will probably go up to, I'm starting to think $4,000 or $5,000. It's getting close to 3, right? I used to say I'd run to 3, but now 3 is too low. I believe silver will most likely reach $75 to $100.